What's up, everybody? Casey and George back with another version, episode, whatever you want to call it, chapter of Going Bracket Racing. Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel, Facebook page are both live right now. This will obviously go to podcast later. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, share and get GBR out to everybody you know that likes drag racing, bracket racing. We talk about all kinds of things on this channel, but we got a ton of people over here in the chat already lighting it up. Barn, Dylan Champion, Super Comp, Alan Boykin, Justin Kreider, Nova fan, Scott Lewis. Haven't seen him in a while, man. Hopefully we'll see him this weekend at Goliath Motorsports Park. But of course, we got to thank the people that allow us to do this show every single Tuesday, man, helping us out over there. Will over at TSR Racing Products. Give them a call for your Power Glides, Turbo 35727 transmissions, Turbo 400s. They get you all the parts. They give you all that great service, get you back in order and get you racing this year. Get you out there winning. Chance Performance Parts. He'll help you out as well. Use the code GBR. Get any kind of parts that you need. I got a pop-up over here, George. I'm going to just X that out real quick. BRG 3D printed parts. He can make you anything you want. Call Brian Garrett over there and let him print anything up for you that you can't find elsewhere. He can always make anything you absolutely need. He builds everything on CAD there, prints it right out, fits everything exactly how you need it. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas makes your stickers, your banners. If you got some GBR stickers or need some GBR stickers, they came from Syntex Printing. We'll get them out to you. They can make you some apparel also. Driven Racing Oil, best methanol racing oil on the market by far. You can find all the videos I've done. I'll sing their praises from the high heavens. GBR 10, get you 10% off over there. Proform Parts, get your carburetors, distributors, alternators, starters, valve covers, rocker arms. List goes on and on and on at proformparts.com. Crew Chief Pro Software, get you in order with those dial-ins at the racetrack, man. You got a cold front moving in. You got a, at this point of the year, got a warm front moving in, man. You got that humidity coming in. You got the humidity burning off. You don't know what to dial. Crew Chief Pro has you covered. Contact Don Higgins, and he'll hook you up with that, man. But, George, before I ask you how you're doing, I got to tell you a little bit of a story that I haven't told you yet.
Wait, see, now I don't like being caught off guard, but this is bound to be pretty good if you waited to tell me live on GBR. So
that's right.
The floor is yours, Casey. Do I need to put you on the screen by yourself right now? Are we getting ready to get one of those insider informational tips from Casey Beckmeyer?
I don't know about that, man, but it's going to be a decent story.
All right.
The Master Blaster, man. The Master Blaster, Chris Godwin, shows up to KDS with an old school hardtail dragster with a Mopar motor in it, mind you. Got that sideways distributor off to the wrong side. And he has a 20-foot V-nose trailer, man. This car is shoved in here so tight that basically the front of the chassis is touching the front of the trailer. He shows up. I look over at him. I go walk in this trailer. He's unstrapping everything. He says, "What's up, man?" I said, "Man, we're doing a lot with a little here, aren't we?" And he says, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Do you even tie this down?" He says, "I'll probably get away with not, but it'd probably bounce too much." But anyway, at the end of the night at KDS, Master Blaster's standing in the winner's circle, man, over there at KDS. He said, "Man, I haven't won anything in like 15 years. So good for Chris over there, lighting him up at KDS. He said he had to thank Alan Boykin, man, for plugging in the battery charger. He just couldn't have done it without him, man. But that was my little bit of a story to start out this week's episode of GBR.
Hey, it's fitting. We got Scott Lewis over here. He's asking Casey what happened at KDS, man. So keep going, Casey. We got to hear what you did, man, you know. And shout out to the winner. That's a pretty interesting story. Show up sideways dragster. I don't know if I've ever seen that one, Casey. Let me be honest.
Man, he had it shoved in there tight, but I can tell you what, I like going to Kinston, man. It's kind of a more laid back environment. It wasn't for me this week because they got a pretty good deal over there. It's $125. You double enter for $3,000 to win. And I was like, whatever, I'll just double enter. I haven't raced in like 3 weeks or something. So went out there and double entered that deal. I was kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off, basically trying to figure out what I'm dialing. I'd made a bunch of changes to the car. So I was trying to figure out if that's working, trying to get up there for the next run. The one good thing that I will say about KDS is that when we're racing, man. And if they're stopped, it's because there's a reason to be stopped, like there's an oil down or something. But man, they ran top, mod, and motorcycles and junior dragsters. Dude, I made my first time run, I want to say at like 1:30, and the race was over, and Blast was up there in the winner's circle picture, I want to say like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, man. So, I mean, kudos to the KDS staff getting everything in and out and getting everybody home for Mother's Day the following day, you know. And that was pretty cool. But I can tell you one thing. If I'm working on something again in between rounds and trying to figure out what I'm doing, I don't know if I'm going to double enter at the same time, because that was a lot. But what was cool, man, I made 9 runs. So, I mean, 9 runs for $125, nothing to shake a stick at.
That's true. You captured a lot of data, man. So that's one thing, you know, that I'm a data junkie. So the more you get, the more times you got to, you know, pull something from the old archives and say, kind of give an idea of what you did before. So that's always good. I definitely like that. Yeah, I don't even know what time you guys started. I think you might have just said it. What time did you start? At 1?
I think 1:30, man. I'm pretty sure I made my first time run at 1:30.
So I do like that. That gets a little tiresome sometimes, especially when you have a younger family. My 7-year-old and 4-year-old and my wife as well. She's pretty new to drag racing, doesn't quite understand all the way that to win one of those races, it might take you getting home around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Needless to say, at Kinston, at least this past weekend, we keep talking about them on here on GBR. They're going to start getting loaded out a little bit more. You know how that goes, but that's a pretty quick race getting back home at that time, dude. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and speaking of quick races, man, that kind of leads into the next thing that I really wanted to bring up right now, which was, the TB Twin 50s opened up for the pre-registration because, of course, it's capped at 425 entries, man. And Brian posted that they already, in the first 10 minutes, had 300 entries already.
300 entries in 10 minutes. Okay, so I mean, guys, let's be honest with you here. Gateway is a really nice track. Number one, if you've never been, let me change it. Worldwide Technologies. It's always going to be known as Gateway to me. I bet you if you type Gateway on your Maps app, it's going to take you to Gateway, which is Worldwide Technologies. I bet it's not changed yet. But anyway, that track is lovely. Number one, okay. To go with that, everything in that area, you got casinos, you got everything there. All the food you shake stick at, all the hotels you want to go to. I think there's 3 different casinos right there within about 5 or 10 minutes. So down on your luck and need some buyback money, go ahead and throw a 10 on black. You might wind up getting some. I don't know how to play roulette that well. 10 ain't gonna get you no buyback. But anyway, 300 entries in 10 minutes did not shock me. And this is why. If you're looking at the screen right now as I click on the screen, TB's race is up in front of you, starting June 15th through the 18th. And the kicking it off right off the bat, guys, with the Mollis warm-up race, Thursday's warm-up. I believe TB told me this car is complete, minus the motor and tranny. Wired by that old Hunter Patton. And if you haven't seen his wiring, by the way, man, I don't know if he OCD or what, but this son of a gun, that wiring job is impeccable. I'm talking about from the layout to the zip ties. It looked like he probably took a tape measure and put a zip tie every 4 or 5 inches or something. I don't know what the boy did, but the car is wired up by him. Mollis made it. I think it's got RBZ on it. I think it's got a lot of good stuff on it. They're running for that right off the bat. To boot, they're paying back into this race as well. So you get your Mollis dragster, but if you runner up, you're getting some money. It's a little tiny for me right now. I know you guys can probably see it better than I can, but failed to look at that one a little closer. I want to say it's $1,000 to the Simmons.
I think it looks like 5,000.
That's to the runner up.
Yeah.
And then it goes back from there. So we're talking about a heck of a warm-up race with a very good prize right off the bat. No box cars are in the mix. There's 64 cars coming for that. And then you got a 50, a 50, and a 25 with round money starting at $250 on Friday and Saturday, and then dropping to 150 for the 25 on Sunday.
Yeah, man, and
just saw, you understand why that race is 300 entries in 10 minutes. That's right. A second annual race. The people that were there last year, I guarantee you they're there again this year, unless something catastrophic happened. Hopefully, hope to God that didn't happen. But that's why that race has 300 entries in that quick case.
Yeah, man, it's that just kind of tells you how much people are enjoying the events that TV Promotions puts on, because I think they maxed it out not last week, but the week prior at the 100K that they put on at Bowling Green, Kentucky, man. Great racing over there. At the end of the day, the thing that I think that you really notice is that these races where the promoter is a racer themselves, which is obviously the case with Brian and Tyler, they always are better. And I think the reason is because as a racer yourself, you can see it from promoter side and racer side, and you can actually make the best decision. And especially somebody like, for example, Tyler Bohannon, he's won the biggest race we've ever had. He's been in the finals for that. So not only has he won at a high level, he's promoted at a very high level. And obviously Brian has competed at several of those races and won a lot of those races as well. I know he's won the Jake Summer Door Car Shootout. He's won one of those, and several other races. And at the end of the day, man, I just would like my fate to be in the hands of a fellow racer, because I know they have my best interest in mind. Even if whatever decision they would make is not going to help me, I trust their decision-making process because they're a racer as well.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I do see some questions starting to roll in, guys. Don't think we will get back to those questions here in a moment. But Casey, man, as you mentioned, they are racers. On top of that, they learn from what they've done previously. Okay, obviously there was a Mulligan race last year, which probably would have went on until the next day pretty easily there. So that race got chopped up and kind of ended the night. I expect that to come back soon, but what did they do? Well, they learned from that, and this time around they're going to throw a Mollis, a dragster shootout. I hope Corey Galletti ain't going, because y'all ain't getting that dragster if Corey Galletti show up. I'm going to say that every time. If there's a dragster on the line, 80%. How many have we seen, Casey? Because I'm going to say 80% chance he's winning it, but
he got a lot of them.
He's done one, two, or three of them, right?
You know who I feel bad for lately, and he's the last guy that you should feel bad for as far as not being able to get through one race, is Gary Williams, because I feel like Gary Williams has been to like 3 dragster finals and
bridesmaid to him. Yep.
But a couple of them, I think it was a scenario where they had 2, and then he got the one that the other guy didn't pick. So poor Gary Williams, can't win a race, I guess, but we all know Gary Williams is, if not the best, definitely top 3 out there, period. But something I want to talk about also, George, speaking of capped races, is the Fall Fling's new format, man. The Fall Fling at Bristol is going to be, they're going to have also a dragster shootout, 15 grand warm-up race, then a 30K, 100K, 30K. But what they've changed, now remember, this is the first race as far as last year goes, where they were so crazily attended that Peter Biondo said, hey, man, we're not doing buybacks. You can double if you want, but we got like 670-something cars on property, and we want to provide more for the racers. So the Fall Fling is now capped. Not only is it capped, but it's single entry. So it's going to be a one go down the track, and that is what it is. You're not going to be able to enter your door car and your dragster. You're going to be able to enter one or the other, and whatever you choose, that is what it is, man. So what do you think about that, man? Do you think that now we're going to start seeing that people are going to start, paying for these races ahead of time and just showing up to these where they are going to start being single entry? Are we beyond the double entry side of things now?
Man, and I'd appreciate everybody's comment on this subject here because it's probably going to bring even more context to what I would say a widely talked about topic. The subject of buybacks, Casey. We visited maybe a month ago, and the name of the actual stream was "Bye Bye to Buybacks." And I think the reason why we said that was Vegas. Well, who are we talking about yet again? Someone who, as I mentioned about TB Promotions, you try something, you document what you learned, and then you implement something new behind the backside of it. Seems to me that the writing is on the wall for that old location in Bristol, number one. It's on my bucket list of I need to go there. Like I said before, and this might have been a year ago, I think maybe Rusty Wallace maybe has a brewery or something there, and I saw chicken wings on the menu, and they looked good. Like my mouth is watering right now just thinking about them. Okay, and if for any other reason, even if I'm not racing, I want to wake up in that mountain and take myself to that brewery just to check that chicken wing out. I want to say it might have been Ron Capps or one of the other professionals out there that was on NHRA
probably
showing it. So I definitely must say that you don't have a choice whenever you get 700. I don't remember how many injuries at Bristol last year, but there were a lot. And then and I'm going to throw a wrinkle into this conversation and kind of give a little bit more of a thought process as to why you should have Crew Chief Pro in the first place. You show up to that mountain, and when that little bitty front of rain blows through there, that seemingly blows through every time you go to race there, does that play enough of a factor to slow the race down to where you kind of don't have a choice? So are we getting into a situation where buybacks are in place based on where you're racing at? What do you think, Casey?
And I think that, the number one thing I would say is I know we beat the buyback thing to death, and I think that you do need to keep buybacks just because of the amount of travel people have involved. But I think that I really like this one car, one driver type deal, and, you can only go down the track once every single round. I think that's the way to do it, really, more so than the getting rid of the buybacks or anything like that, because then that way, what it does is it opens the door for a lot of other guys who think that they're not going to be competitive because everybody's got two guns and they only got one. And I mean, that's just common sense. The reason why everybody double enters, everybody can tell you all day long that double entry doesn't matter, but then you see those exact same people double entering everywhere when they can. I mean, it's common sense, man. If you go sit down at a blackjack table, how many chances do you have to hit 21 if you're a one place or you're two places? Right. Common sense.
Right.
So I think if you have the attendance, the reason double entry was invented was so we could run for this amount of money. And there were only certain people who would go to these races. Well, now everybody's seemingly going to these races. I think we're in the time where maybe we can start capping them, doing pre-entry, and making it where it's a single entry for everybody. And then the buyback round is half as much anyway because only half as many people lost first round.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I have an idea too, but I want to read Dylan Champion's comment here. Every promoter needs to take a page out of Pete's book. Seems like he is always ahead of everything. Definitely the best promoter there is coming out there out of Dylan Champion. That is a great opinion there. I mean, he's definitely showing his hand as that. It's not like he's got a stack, a handful of cards and you can't see what he's got. No, he's going to show you, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is why I'm going to do it. Now, we got a question out of Roy Stewart. Or hey, good evening, Roy Stewart. I'm sorry. Question's actually from Monty Howard. He says, "Where is KDS? Where is Kinston? I think it's in Kinston, but North Carolina."
Yeah, Kinston, North Carolina. But side note, Roy Stewart, he's the guy that, remember that purple dragster I got whenever I first moved out here and started racing by myself?
Yep.
Roy Stewart has that, and he's been beating up on him down there at Gulfport, man. And I think he actually just carried 2 entries last weekend to the semifinals. So old Roy's been showing them what's up with something that, I love what Roy's doing because he's showing that you don't have to have the newest, latest, and greatest stuff to be good. You just have to have good stuff and go racing. And at the end of the day, Roy's got a dragster that I can't remember how old it is off the top of my head, but it's like 25 years old, something like that. Basic motor. And he's going out there and whooping up on people, man, with $50,000-$100,000 race cars. And that's what bracket racing's all about, man.
Right. Got Jeff Kreider in here. He's saying the upcoming Mutt and Jeff race at Numidia is single entry. 250 entries is the cap. He says it's sold out in a few hours. Jeff, I mean, at 250 entries, man, you're asking to sell out quick. So I don't know if that's a curfew type of deal or what, but with that many entries, that's kind of a low entry count in my opinion. I'm surprised they didn't throw another 100 up there when they saw that bad boy get sold out in a few hours, because that's what I would have did. That's just me. I'm sorry.
That might be all that they can park in there. That's what the race is based around. That's what it's looking for. And I think that's what they wanted, man. But the point is look at the demand on stuff like that. That's what's cool about it. That's what everybody wants to say bracket racing isn't what it used to be. That's right. It's not, because it's better than it used to be. It's better than it was 20 years ago. I can tell you that for a fact.
That's definitely true. So, Casey, man, I had another thought process, and I needed to get those comments in here. Appreciate all the comments. This is an open discussion, so keep them coming, guys. And make sure to hit that share button if you hadn't already. Let's get as many questions and comments in here as we can to have an open discussion surrounding our sport. But, Casey, what are your thoughts on having buybacks and doubles and all this inside of a race, but also holding one day of the event with no buybacks, no doubles? I mean, because seemingly what we're talking about is time. In the grand scheme of canceling buybacks, my opinion now, everybody's entitled to it, this is mine, they're not canceling buybacks for the sake of not wanting to give a buyback. It's for the sake of we don't have enough time to get through this race and the rest of the races for the weekend and give everybody ample buybacks. Casey, what's the thought process you have on maybe holding one race, maybe the second event, the first 50, for example, on the TB Twin 50s, the first 50, get your buyback and your doubles. The second 50, one come down, two go back. What's your thought?
It'd be a good way to fade it in, and I don't even know if this is where you were going with that, but if, for example, let's say, in my opinion, just based on what I was thinking whenever you were talking about it, what you would want to do is you want to have a buyback the first race. The middle race, you say no, because then the last race you say no, because then that way, if you need to utilize some of that time to finish one of the previous day races because of rain, then you don't have to deal with that buyback. And now you've got essentially one extra round, in theory, that you didn't have to go through, that now you can fade that other race in and finish it.
That's precisely what I'm saying, is basically using one of the races and the thought of, and let's do this too. TB put on that 100K shootout. I believe there was 128 cars in it. I didn't hear a negative thought around that race at all for $100,000 on the line. So obviously there is a market for a no buyback crowd. It's there, period. It's out there. So another reason that I'm saying that is because I don't see that thought process being received with any type of a negative connotation. I think it goes smoothly.
Here's what I like about what Brian and Tyler did, and I don't know if we brought this up yet, but what I really like about what Brian and Tyler did is whenever they doubled it, they could have easily said, okay, we're going to double it. It's going to be 200 to win now. They didn't do that. What they did was they pushed it back through the rest of the purse. So that way, essentially, the split was already done. If you want to split even further, they made it where it's not going to be like 2 to 4 guys get a whole bunch of money. It's going to be 16 guys get a decent amount of money type thing. And that's what I really like about that whole deal. And that, again, I think goes back to those guys being racers. And, neither one of those guys are rich. They both have jobs. They go to work all the time and stuff like that. So they understand what it's like. And at the end of the day, if you're only making 2 or 3 guys rich off all this stuff and everybody else is getting the shaft, well, those are the people you need to have those type of races, are the people who enter them. You need to have a reason like, okay, I can get to third round and I can get my money back, or I can get some of my money back. Not all of it, but some of it. Maybe I get to fourth round, get all my money back type thing. And that's what I think the next step is just realizing that you can't have these races anymore if you don't have X number of racers to participate in it. And if you can push that money back, that's how all that round track stuff got to be where people do it, man. Because round track racing is the most expensive type of racing there is, with tires and motors and stuff like that. And you're constantly wearing stuff out. But you get like money to start the race. You get money to qualify. You get money to make it to the AMA and dirt track racing, stuff like that. The bracket racing needs to take a page out of that book. And I think Brian and Tyler, whether they meant to or not, they kind of took that perspective and pushed it through the back. Because like I said, they could have easily put on the biggest race they've ever put on and said, we put on a $200,000 to win race.
Right.
But they didn't. They left it as it was, and they helped a bunch of other people out along the way.
Right. And they saw their market as well. Hey, well, shoot, they sold that race out, and they broke the internet that day. So I think I saw Tyler hit to In Motion Solutions, Jeff Serra having all stops pulled out for today's pre-entry. That site was raring and ready to go. So I see a comment out of JJ Pennington here. Casey or George, any chance I might see either of y'all at the Holly Springs this week? Yeah, JJ, man, I'll be out there. I think I'll leave tomorrow and I'll show up at around 2 o'clock, I think. So I'll be minus my old door truck, so I'll be watching you do your thing in Old Blueberry. But I will have my helmet and my fire suit and my gloves, and I'll race in my socks if anybody needs a hired gun. So it is what it is. Just holler at me. I'm there, But definitely, Casey. So we're at that good point. A good point. I kind of want to continue this conversation as far as we can, though, Casey. Some good stuff coming out of this one, and we still have a few more comments to get through as well. So Hank Mulligan, thanks for stepping in and coming in and joining us yesterday. If you missed that last Tuesday. If you missed that stream, head back after this show and take a listen at us talk to old Hank there. Hang in there for a quick second. We'll be right back with you with more from Going Bracket Racing. Don't go anywhere.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide, Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
We've completely redesigned our best-selling thermostat fan to make it even better. Proform's high-performance universal 15-inch electric fan is the perfect upgrade to replace the stock fan in your vehicle. It's equipped with a thermostat that's adjustable from 160 to 240 degrees. Mounted to your radiator supports with sturdy brackets and driven by a heavy-duty motor, this unit pulls up to 2,800 CFM of air with a 14-amp current draw. All mounting hardware and wiring are included.
All right. Welcome back. Sorry about that, Case. You didn't have any warning that we were coming off a commercial break. He's there yapping away, guys, just talking about all this stuff that we're talking about here today on Going Bracket Racing. And a healthy topic, as always, coming from the Biondo, the TBs of the world, the SFGs of the world, the kind of the promoters who really put on a good show. So as always, guys, we got to give our show some love to Champs Performance Parts, BRG Motorsports 3D printed parts, got Proform parts, Syntex Printing, TSR Racing Products, Crew Chief Pro, the Driven Racing Oil, keeping that motor good and fresh for you, Syntex Printing, if I hadn't said that, Ken Jones Performance, Team 14, and that sign that says your ad here. Anything you need, give us a call. You want to shout out a race? As I'm seeing a few shout-outs right now, Casey, into the chat. Let's get into the chat and kind of pull some of those comments out of there.
There's a lot of stuff over here in the YouTube side of things, man. If you guys got anything to say, definitely put it over here. We'll definitely bring it up. So far, I'm trying to find where I'm trying to not leave people out here. Alan Boykin, Clayton, North Carolina racers shook up the points of KDS this weekend. That's right, man. Old Phipps gave Master Blaster a talking to when he took him out because he was in the lead over there. He said he owes him a butt whooping over there. So that was pretty funny. Dylan Champion, it's time to break the news. So we'll break a little bit of news. We'll give a little bit of a teaser. We got Dylan Champion on the premises. Starting this week, we're going to do a little bit of at the track footage that you guys have been asking for. So Dylan said he wanted to be a part of that. He's going to help us out with all that. And you've met him on the show. If you haven't already, you want to see who Dylan Champion is, go back and check it out. He was on there with Brandon Lane. He was on his own show. He seems to think he's a very important person, so I guess we'll let y'all determine if he is or not. Eric White, I'm not a double entry buyback fan because I can't afford it. I have to get there with or without them or go home. Now, if money wasn't an issue, then I'd probably be all about it. I agree with that, man. I think a lot of people are in that boat. In fact, Supercomp over here, I'd like to see him do Casey's idea where you double and don't get buybacks. Or if you single, you do get one. And then a little nasty Reds over here saying, I say no buyback, no double, and may the best racer win. Money not an option for most of them at big money races, though. So that's true, man. And let's go back to what we were talking about earlier, though. Capped fields. That's what I really want to talk about still, because it seems like that's the way we're going with a lot of these big money races. And do you think that a capped field is the way to go at a lot of these big money events anymore? Because it seems like they're turning into marathon races. People complain because people don't show up, then people complain because there's too many. Now, do you think that a capped field is more prestigious to win because first of all, you say, hey man, we're going to do this race on, for example, the Fling. We're going to do this race September 26th through the 30th, Fall Fling. 425 cars, get in where you fit in, hurry up and get in, because once we get 425, that's it. TB just sold 300 entries in 10 minutes. You're running out of time. Do you think, first of all, it creates more demand for the event because it is a capped field and you're like, man, I got to get in right now. I got to hurry up and get in. Well, once you pay for the entry, say we pay for it right now. It's May 16th right now. Pay for the spring fling, get in. Well, that's a long way away, man. So it doesn't feel like you spent a whole lot of money. You already paid for it. Now you show up and it doesn't hurt so bad whenever you get there, because now if you're buying back, well, that doesn't really make a difference. It's hard to lay out all that money all at once. It's not so hard laying it out over a few months. So what do you think about that first?
That's an old vacation thought, too. And it's like nowadays, when you go on a vacation, especially outside of the country, you buy that vacation several months ahead of actually going to it. And then you get on vacation and the excursion's $200 and the spa is another $200 and you go out here and you do that. Well, dropping all that money is like, I felt like I ain't spent nothing yet because I've already recouped what I paid for to come down here in the first place. So I definitely agree that that's definitely one plus to having pre-entry, and that is driving more people to the race because they're able to recoup money and then have more money when they actually head to the race. So I think that's doing it. I think the Prestige is definitely doing it. Heck, people are speaking for themselves, and everybody can see it. It's in plain day. It's on Facebook and the internet, for crying out loud. You sell 300 entries in 10 minutes. You basically push go for someone to be able to purchase an entry, and you've got a line of 300 people that electronically are able to capture one of the 425 entries that are available. And that's why you saw us post on Going Bracket Racing, if you snooze, you lose. You're not going to get in this race if it sells out. So Casey, man, I think it is the way that things are going. It's shocking to me because I don't mean to play devil's advocate here, but about a year, maybe two ago, seemingly the thought of pre-entry was frowned upon. And it's now that it's like, all right, maybe that pre-entry thought was right. Maybe it needed a little tweaking. Maybe we needed to test it a little bit more before we used it. Who knows? But pre-entry is definitely seeming to be the way of the future to me.
Well, and you said a word prestigious. I wonder if does it, because obviously you win the spring fling, you win the fall fling, you win anything that says fling in it, it's prestigious, right?
Sure.
Does it make it more prestigious to know that everybody can't race this anymore? Everybody can't win the Bristol Fall Fling because 670 racers showed up last year. That means that, what's that, 250 aren't going to be able to even compete this year. So does that make it more, or how about this? Is this getting to the point, because NHRA for the U.S. Nationals, you have to have a certain amount of grade points to run Sportsman Series. You aren't even allowed to enter if you don't have these grade points. You don't even have the option. It's grade points of, highest to lowest. And if you get in, it's because somebody above you didn't want to go. Like if Dan Fletcher wants to go to the U.S. Nationals, guess what? Dan Fletcher gets to go to the U.S. Nationals. If Dan doesn't go, then maybe George can get in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But the fact of the matter is that does it make it more prestigious knowing that you have to really put in an effort to even attend, let alone win the race?
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on, and I'm gonna even take a thought from the best little door car shootout. Honestly, needs to be modeled quite a bit more across this country. The summer door car shootout out there at I-57 Speedway. I know that if I'm not mistaken myself, that list is generally gathered by those who have already been to that race, making that race prestigious, especially for the area. I think they even have a King of the Track race at that event. So, Casey, I think you've said a lot there, to say that the prestige of these races and winning this race, but you can only get in if you've gathered enough points is pretty spot on.
Now, that's true, but what I also want to say on that, because that race has been going on, I want to say 10 or 12 years now.
At least 10.
And to be fair, it's meant to be a big race for the local community in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And, us both growing up there, we understand that and everything. Now, let me tell you this part of that. The reason I don't like the have you participated, okay, you get first in line is that doesn't allow others to even go for a first time. Because at this point, for example, because of the way it's capped and all that stuff, I've been to 4 of those. And I would be unlikely to be able to even get in because there's a lot of people that have been to all 12. Now, I understand that on one hand, because first of all, these people keep supporting you. Of course, you want to keep all your supporters. People have supported you constantly. But what about whenever that area, that's a lot of old racers, man. One day they're going to start retiring and being done or not being around anymore, not being able to race anymore, choosing not to race anymore, because a lot of those guys, man, well, my dad, your dad, they're in their 60s, man. My dad's getting close to his 70s. You know what I'm saying? So one day you're going to get to year 15, 18 of this race, and you're going to say, where's all my racers? Well, a lot of people aren't going to even look at it because they're going to be like, I've only been to 4. I'm not getting in that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that concept of it too. And I think the majority of, in my opinion, part of the thought process behind that is the size of that track as well, where it is also set for the local racer. It is also a pretty small track. And so from a promotion standpoint, you can't just open it up to everybody and just be like, all right, well, I got to let everybody in there. You know what I mean? So I don't really know how to answer that one as far as for that race. I just know that I've never been to that race, and me getting on that list might be seemingly kind of hard, to your point. So,
it'd be almost impossible.
I see a comment from Alan Boynton. He says, George, if you're going to Holly Springs, why are you not taking the truck? Well, I got to haul something back with me, Alan, and there'll be more to come on that. Let's just leave it at that. So, going down there, and you may or may not see me behind Motor Mania trying to help out as much as I can to bring a good broadcast, maybe learn a thing or two, and then I'm driving an old motorhome back. So, going to pick up some equipment.
So let's talk about let's keep talking about this spring fling, man, because they finally got a points program with this whole deal, which is something that, we've always been saying over here and we've been harping on for a long time. If you have a multi-day event and you're giving away MVPs and stuff like that, well, the number one MVP is a points program, right? That'd tell you who the MVP is right now, because that'd be the person with the most points now. And I don't know if this was Peter Biondo who said this or somebody else whenever we had some of our past shows on guest interviews and stuff like that. But they always said the hardest thing about a points program was if you have double entries, what if a guy forgets to wipe off his number? Then that makes it hard for us because now we got to go double check all this stuff. Well, in a race that's single entry, there is only one number. There's one number one, there's one number two, there's one number three, and so on. So that now allows for a points program. And as soon as they implemented that, I noticed the points program showed up. So what do you think about that?
Bravo. That's all I got. Honestly, right now, you're seeing points programs get added to just about everything. I don't want to brush the back of going bracket racing, but we've been calling for points programs for just about everything for a couple of years now. And I think what happened was, Casey, and you've alluded to this on a number of streams now, where we watched VMP and Ryan Gleghorn announce that race and actually make us feel like through the television set or through Motormania TV's YouTube page that all of us were in the stands sitting there watching this whole thing go down. And that brought so much viewership and then gathered up so many positive comments about that points series that's why we're seeing the points thought creep into the big money bracket racing scene. I don't know what the award's going to be to the king of the spring fling.
I do.
You should take that, Pete, if you ain't calling it the king of the spring ping. What is it, Casey? Call it out.
Winner of points gets $5,000. Runner up gets gets one. Then 600, 500, 400, man. So it pays the top five. But the cool thing is, man, there's so many times that I've been to major races and things like that. And you're like, man, I got to fifth round every single day in both entries and ended up with nothing or something like that. If you average a fifth round finish, you're going to be up there in this points deal. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is obviously just a starting point. I'm sure, knowing Peter Biondo, this is going to grow over the years. This is something he just now threw out there. But I mean, dude, if you get to like fifth, sixth, seventh round and you're like averaging a sixth round finish, you're going to be up there in the points more than likely. And you could take home $5,000 easily. Well, especially with it only being single entry, easily make money over the top of what your entries are.
Not to mention the pay structure that goes along with it. Because I mean, it's going to pay along the way to get there. So make some money and then make some more money, basically, is what I just heard.
But, yeah, man, I think it's going to be really cool. I think that pre-entry for the fall fling, opens, I believe, tomorrow. I think Biondo's going to be on a little later tonight telling you guys a little bit more about it.
Yeah, 6 o'clock,
hopefully we didn't wear out all of his topics. So, Peter, if you're watching, sorry if we wore him out. I'm sure you don't care. But, man, I got to tell you this, man. Motormania TV. Speaking of Motormania TV, you know what they're covering this weekend? The Great American Dream Team Challenge. Of course you know, because you're going.
That's right.
So Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, it's 25, I believe, for top, 10 grand for the bottom. And, of course, they are running the Dream Team Challenge on Saturday, where they're going to have, I think, 41 top bulb teams competing, man. 17 on the bottom. It says 32 or more. It's going to pay, I believe, $48,000 to win. Now, knowing Britt and Galen, you know how they mess stuff around and whatnot. They got a lot more participation. Maybe they'll throw a little bit something extra back at everybody. But, man, 41 top bulb teams. I don't know if that's a record for them, but that's a lot of people, man. I think they're all 5 people apiece. Is that right?
Yeah, it looks like it's a team of 5. I mean, I've got my other computer up here looking at the list and everything, and if you guys want to check it out, it's at Great American Bracket Races Facebook page, and definitely looking like there's five drivers per team, and it looks like that's going to kick off on Saturday for the Dream Team time, the open time runs, or not open, but Dream Team time runs starting at 8 a.m. So that's pretty neat there. I'm looking forward to this. Number one, I've never seen in person this type of race go down, and to be able to be a fly on the wall and be there and get to catch it firsthand is going to be a very interesting weekend for me for sure. Yeah, Casey, man, I know that we have a list here, but who are you taking?
Man, it took me a while. I looked at it for a long time, man. I looked at it for about 30 minutes, and I kind of narrowed it down to a few. But I narrowed it down to team number 8, man. Team number 8 for top, which is Brody Quick, Shane Carr, Bo Boatner, Heath Davis, and Hunter Whitehead. And really, the reason I ended up picking that team was because if you go look on Facebook, Ryan Gleghorn has a post trying to tell Gary Don that Heath Davis needs to be number 1 on the top 10 for Drag Champ. Dude, Heath Davis 31-0, I believe, for round victories this year, and that's really the reason, because I'm pretty sure he's from that general vicinity, I want to say, and 31-0. How can you really argue with that? I mean, talk about a roll, man. We haven't seen a roll like that since Hunter Patton in 2020. Really?
Wow, sounds like the heavyweight champ right now. You know, taking everybody out by literal kicking your teeth in and not knocking you out. So, Casey, man, that's a great choice, man. When I looked at this list, I will tell you, I didn't even realize it was 3 pages long. And I got in here and start to clicking and see there's 41 teams. I'm like, gee whiz. But, man, as soon as I got to page 3, you ought to know better here, because you picked this old boy to do some damage at OTB's race, and he done some damage at TB's race. But you can't give me a team of Steve Law, Lester Atkins, Richard Duvall, and Josh Lutke, and me not be like, all right, that's pretty solid. Notice I only named 4 racers. Okay, I only named 4. The 5th racer ain't even on the list yet. You know what I mean?
Just gonna take somebody.
Just take somebody. You know, tell them, hey, we all right. We'll handle. You know, so I'm definitely going with team number 36 here. Not to take anything away from my Texas boys, because I did see a couple of solid Texas team. One headed by Donnie Burleson. I think one headed by Kenny Probst that looked pretty doggone solid as well. But give me number 36, the Mo Kentucky boys. Probably going to be hard to deal with. Kentucky-Indiana combo.
Man, it's always a cool race, because the coolest part about the Dream Team race, and we've had Galen and Britt on here a couple times talking about the Dream Team race, and they have specifically said that, first of all, you start seeing people on teams that they're clearly on a team because they're trying to win the money, because they're like, man, these guys don't even want to talk to each other. I don't know how they're on the same team. But what's cool is that they make you be like, okay, this guy's running first. You're running this guy. You're running that guy. So it's not really a chip draw, but there's strategy involved. And there's, like Britt was saying whenever he was on the show a few months back, he said, man, there's a lot of guys that'll put their best driver last because, for example, one of the teams I was about to go with before I saw Heath Davis on a team was I was going to go with Jason Lynch's team. Now, if Jason Lynch, nothing's going to bother him. Ultimately, Jason Lynch is the coolest catfish right there that there is, man. He's going to sit there. He's been in a million finals. He's won all the big stuff. He's lost in the finals on big stuff. He's won championships. Like, nothing bothers him anymore because he's been there, done that. But if you have Jason Lynch, on one hand, let's say it's even and it's down to this last run, I want Jason Lynch there for that last run. But like Britt said, how you going to have not your best driver potentially not go down the track because you get shut out in the first 3?
This is correct.
That's a risk, man. That's a big risk.
This is correct. And this is why I like the format that Motor Mania has been asked to give by Britt and Galen. You're going to see a whole lot more coverage this go around, in my opinion, for the Dream Team Challenge. It might even feel like Street Outlaws a little bit. It's not going to be exactly the same, but we might get a look at the inside strategy a little bit better based on what I've read as a release on how Motor Mania is going to be delivering this thing. So I'm ready to be a fly on the wall. Casey, this is gonna be pretty interesting, man. That's all I got. This is gonna be a good one here. So hopefully everybody's got their YouTubes tuned in for starting on Thursday. This Dream Team Challenge is going to be a pretty fun one to watch. Relatively packed too. If I'm looking at this many cars in just the Dream Team race, those other races around this race are going to be relatively packed as well.
Yeah, I never even thought about that part, man. If you're talking about 41 top bowl teams that contain 5 racers, I just calculated that up. That's 205 cars right there. Just cars.
Just right there.
Because they all got their own.
And
so
there's
that's
17 bottom bowl teams. So
right.
I know that some of them are, or if I'm looking at this right, I see Shane Carr in there. I see a couple of guys who are going to run on the top as well. I know the whole Pennington team, Richardson team, I'm pretty sure they're all in the top ball shootout as well.
And
so.
speaking of the Pennington team, I think they're in both as well. Because, JJ's a bottom bulber anyway, as far as I've known until this year,
right?
Which he was in the chat. He can tell us here in a second. I know he's paying attention. But speaking of the bottom, let's pick the bottom bulb team, man. Who you going with off the bottom? And let's say this, because if you got the whole list in front of you, don't go for that stacked team. You can't go for that stacked team because I specifically – no, because everybody tell them which one we're talking about. I guess
team number 13. All right, it's Lucas Walker, Charlie Lockhart, Gage Birch, Rick Bear, and Nick Hastings.
Yeah,
come on, man.
So let's not be boring, man. Let's not be boring.
All right.
While you pick, I'll tell you which one mine is.
Yeah, you do that.
So
go for it.
My pick is team number 2, which is Rumley, Cummings, Semino, Neely, and Lockhart, man. And talk about, that's stacked team too. I think Rumley's already won one of those races down there this year. I want to say it might have been in when it was still cold outside everywhere else.
Ooh, it might have been last week, actually. I think I saw him in a winter circle last week too.
That might be the second one then, because I swear he won something around like Christmas time or something.
Huh. Well, since you're making me do it, Casey, where'd it go here? Team number 9 is my choice. Okay. One. You might not even know the name Graham Rufinat. And you probably can't even say that man's last name. But can I say it? I just, I pay attention to the internet and I've seen him around and I watched the kid in juniors. I don't know how many trophies that kid has for juniors, number 1. But to add him to Chad Sandlin and Brody Quick, Aaron Jones, and Brian Bennett, that's solid to me. That's solid. That's going to be a solid Southern Texas boys are in that team right there. So I'm always going to root Team Texas for now. I know I'm a migrant from the St. Louis Division III area, but these are guys that I race with on a weekly basis. Give me team number 9. Although I will say, when I saw team 2, I did look at that pretty solid as well in my choices.
Now, how about this, man? How about all the crossover we got in this deal? Where a lot of these guys, like you just mentioned, Brody Quick's on your bottom ball team. He's on my top ball team.
Right.
How about that? Do you think that a lot more people are capable of crossing over now? Well, Shane Carr's on my top ball team. He's going to hit the bottom. Are these people participating, or are they really planning on winning? Because in my opinion, you see that whole team Richardson is in top and bottom. We know they're all capable of winning on either one. They've done it. We've seen them do it a million times. So is the crossover thing more along the lines of what people think about now? Like, are the younger guys being like, well, I already know how to bottom bowl because I ran junior dragsters and I got a car that can run both. Like JJ can run both in his truck. I can run both in my car. I'm not good at bottom, but I guess if I tried a million times, maybe I would somehow figure it out. I was running Dylan Champion's car earlier this year. He was running bottom and I was running top in it.
Right.
So is that the way to go nowadays?
I actually do believe so. Something I'm trying to figure out with my truck as well. I haven't left off the bottom in a very long time, but I'm not scared to leave off the bottom. Give me a few rounds and I'll find myself just about like anybody else is what I'm seeing here. But to go back to your question, are they just participating? I don't see a list of participants here. I see competitors, some gladiators that are about to go at it, and both off the top and off the bottom, this is going to be a battle. That this whole event's going to be a battle. That's all I got. So, if they're on somebody's team, it's for a reason, not just for a participation. I don't even think it's we couldn't find anybody else. Nope, it ain't none of that going on here.
Definitely, man. I agree with you, and I would love to see this happen. Not a bunch, like not a whole bunch through the year, because it'd wear it out and it wouldn't make it as cool. But I would like to see it happen twice, I guess I would say, like throughout the year, like at a couple different events. I know there's a lot of GABR events. Obviously, Galen's been running King of the Coast forever. So there's tons of those events. I don't know if that'd be a place to do it. Wherever you would do it, it would need to be a larger event where it can be televised, because that's what really makes it cool. But if Motor Mania can get in the lanes and really get people, like, just not even necessarily interview people, but just stick the mic in the circle and just be like, hey guys, you mind if the mic's in the circle here while you're coming up with your strategy? Because there's always a little bit of a delay, and it doesn't make a difference. Like, you're not telling them what you're holding. You're not telling them this. You're just saying, I want Slate Cummins to run Nick Hastings, like something like that. Like, and then somebody being like, no, I don't want Slate to run him. I think he should run him because of this, that, and the other. Like, just get the down low of, like, why do you want so-and-so? Nick Hastings is a great example. Most people would say, I don't want to run Nick Hastings, because Nick Hastings probably has a win percentage in like 70% range.
Right.
But you could say, for example, because I know Michael Beard's on the list. I know Michael Beard isn't scared of anybody anyway. But you say, I want Michael to run Nick Hastings because he doesn't give a crap of that Nick Hastings in the other lane. He doesn't care who's in the other lane. It doesn't matter if it's a duck or if it's Nick Hastings. He's going to run them the exact same way. And if that's the reason, cool. Or maybe you say, well, Nick's a great finish line driver, so I want to have Adam Russell run him because he's got a super fast dragster or something,
Make it look funny to him. That's what you're going to see here. And I don't know how live everything's going to be. I'm just very much so happy that I'm going to be there to witness it myself. I've never been to a race like this. I'll say it again. So this is going to be great, Casey. That's all I got, man. It's going to be a good one.
If you need stickers, George will have a whole bunch of them. So just get them, and then you don't got to get them in the mail.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a few. Plus, I'm out of stamps too. I see everybody in my list here. I've got everything already packed out. But I don't like going to the store. Number one, I need to go get some stamps or have my wife do it for me. So definitely, man.
Yeah, man. So that's another episode of GBR, man. GBR on Tuesdays. It goes by really fast. We appreciate everybody being with us. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and share and follow buttons. And if you can't be here live with us and you like to listen to it on audio format, wherever you find your podcast, subscribe to us over there. Helps us out, helps you not miss anything. Helps our sponsors like Team 14, Chance Performance, Driven Racing, All Pro Form Parts, Crew Chief Pro, BRG 3D Printed Parts, TSR Racing Products, Ken Jones Performance, Syntex Printing. If you want your name mentioned right there, get at us. You can hit us up. What is our email, George? Go on bracketracing@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. You could just get us at the track. We're always at the racetrack. Text me. Everybody's got my phone number anymore. You can always get a hold of me or George one way or another. So other than that, we'll be back next Tuesday.
See you then, guys. Let's have some fun this weekend.